Tommy Egan is walking straight into the deadliest fight of his life, and Season 3, Episode 1 of Power Book 4, Force is set to prove that no one, absolutely no one, is safe. The final season wastes no time throwing us back into chaos, picking up right where Season 2's explosive finale left us. Mirovic isn't gone. King Kilo is more dangerous than ever. Claudia's not done playing her games. And as if that's not enough, Tommy is about to face betrayal from within, and an unexpected reunion that will change everything. Fans are already calling this premiere one of the most intense episodes in the Power universe, and if you thought Tommy's enemies list was long before, Episode 1 will make it feel endless. So buckle in, because this war starts now, and the first death will shock you to your core. Season 3. Episode 1 opens with Tommy still reeling from Mirea's kidnapping in the Season 2 finale. But this isn't the kind of problem Tommy sits around thinking about. He reacts fast, and in pure Tommy fashion, that means rage first, questions later. Without backup, without a plan, he drives straight into enemy territory to get her back. This move tells us a lot about where his head is. His focus is completely on Mirea's safety, and anyone in his way will regret it. When he gets to Miguel's place, it's chaos. Mirea has a gun in her hand, and together they fight their way out. Normally, Tommy would burn the whole house down and take out every threat in sight. But this time, with Mirea at risk and no crew behind him, survival comes first. That choice leaves Miguel alive, for now. But Tommy knows the war with him is far from over. And as soon as Tommy gets Mirea out, the balance of power in Chicago starts to shift again, because Miguel's not the only enemy lurking in the shadows. The most dangerous name from Tommy's past, Mirovic, is back in play. Despite what happened at the end of Season 2, where it looked like prison had taken him off the board, Episode 1 makes it clear Mirovic isn't done. He doesn't just break out alone. King Kilo, who already had his sights set on Tommy, is now standing right beside him. Their alliance is a nightmare scenario for Tommy. Kilo brings brutal street power, and Mirovic brings pure personal vengeance. And just when you think that's enough to deal with, Claudia slips back into the game too. She's still recovering from her injuries, but she's moving strategically, making deals and feeding information to Tommy's enemies. These three, Mirovic, Kilo, and Claudia, don't trust each other completely, but their shared goal of destroying Tommy is enough to keep them united. Episode 1 makes it crystal clear. This isn't just a fight over territory anymore, it's a fight for survival. But Tommy's problems aren't only coming from the outside. Inside his own circle, the cracks are showing. Vic's betrayal was already exposed in the finale, and Episode 1 wastes no time making him pay the price. Diamond, who's been growing colder and more ruthless, takes the lead here. The drowning scene teased in the promo isn't symbolic, it's Vic's brutal execution. It's a moment that mirrors Diamond's past actions, but this time it's personal. Once Vic is gone, it sends shockwaves through everyone connected to him, especially Stacy, whose reaction tells us his death will have big consequences later. As for Shanti and Jannard, they're too smart to openly turn on Tommy now. Instead, they're playing the long game, offering help, acting loyal, and waiting for the right moment to make their move. Tommy's not fooled, but for now, he's willing to use whatever support he can get. In this war, every ally counts, even the ones you can't fully trust. And just when it looks like Tommy might be standing alone against an army, the biggest surprise of all drops. That post-credits scene from Power Book 2, Ghost wasn't just a tease, it's happening now. Tommy makes the call, and Tariq answers. Their promise from the original Power, that one call would bring the other running, comes full circle here. Tariq's arrival in Episode 1 isn't just fan service, it's a game changer. For the first time in a long time, Tommy has someone at his side who's just as cunning, just as dangerous, and just as willing to do whatever it takes. With enemies closing in from all sides, this reunion sets the stage for a final season where every move counts, and one wrong step could mean the end. The war is here, and the first battle has already begun. After Tariq's unexpected arrival, the energy shifts instantly. Tommy, who's been carrying the weight of this war alone, suddenly has someone who understands the rules of the game and the stakes at hand. But Tariq's not in Chicago for a family reunion. He's here because Tommy's situation is worse than anyone on the outside knows. From the moment Tariq steps into Tommy's world, it's clear he's not intimidated by Mirovic, Kilo, or Claudia. In fact, he's ready to go on the offensive, pushing Tommy to think ahead instead of reacting out of anger. This is where we start to see a different kind of Tommy, one who's forced to juggle his instinct for violence with the need for careful planning. But planning isn't easy when your enemies are already making moves. Mirovic and Kilo waste no time consolidating power, striking deals with smaller crews in the city and putting money in the hands of the right people to ensure their network spreads fast. Claudia, meanwhile, takes advantage of her low profile to reestablish her influence in the drug pipeline, creating backdoor connections that could cripple Tommy's operations without a single bullet being fired. While Tommy and Tariq regroup, Diamond keeps his distance. His execution of Vic hasn't just put him on Stacy's radar, it's also made him a target for anyone loyal to Vic's old alliances. Diamond's absence leaves Tommy with fewer boots on the ground, which makes Tariq's role even more important. Tariq brings with him not just street knowledge, but also connections from his own world, contacts who might be willing to help if the price is right. But trust is tricky. Tommy knows Tariq plays his own game, and their alliance will only hold as long as their goals align. In episode 1, we start to see them test each other. Small conversations where both are trying to figure out if they can really rely on one another when things get messy. This dynamic adds another layer of tension, because while they might be united now, fans know history has a way of tearing partnerships apart in the Power universe. Meanwhile, Miguel is licking his wounds after losing Mirea, but he's far from done. He views Tommy's intrusion not just as a personal insult, but as an open declaration of war. Miguel starts reinforcing his crew, cutting deals with gangs that operate on the edges of Tommy's territory. This creates a dangerous situation where Tommy isn't just fighting his old enemies, he's also getting squeezed by Miguel's growing influence. And Miguel isn't subtle. His retaliation starts with small, brutal warnings, hitting people connected to Tommy to send a message. This forces Tommy to make a critical decision. Does he go after Miguel now while his focus is divided, or does he deal with Mirovic and Kilo first? Choosing wrong could mean losing everything. As if the pressure wasn't high enough, episode 1 also teases an even deeper problem. Someone inside Tommy's own network is feeding information to his enemies. We don't know who yet, but the clues start to surface when a shipment Tommy kept quiet about ends up intercepted before it even leaves port. The betrayal is too precise to be a coincidence, which means the mole is close, maybe even someone Tommy considers a friend. This paranoia starts to creep in, making Tommy more unpredictable, more dangerous, and more willing to cut ties without hesitation. By the end of the first half of episode 1, the board is set. Mirovic, Kilo, and Claudia are united. Miguel is building his army. Diamond is a wild card. And Tommy, now with Tariq at his side, is preparing for a war where trust might be the rarest currency of all. The tension is suffocating, and every character is already making moves that will decide whether they survive to see the end of this final season. The second half of episode 1 shifts into overdrive, plunging us deeper into the tangled web of alliances and betrayals that will define the final season. After setting the stage in the opening acts, the third segment begins with Tommy and Tariq's first real mission together, an attempt to intercept a high-value weapons shipment that Mirovic's crew is bringing into the city. On the surface, this looks like a straightforward hit, but Tommy knows it's more than that. If he can cripple Mirovic's access to heavy firepower right out of the gate, it sends a message. No matter how many allies Mirovic gathers, Chicago still belongs to Tommy Egan. The operation starts smoothly. Too smoothly. Tariq's instincts kick in, and he warns Tommy they might be walking into a setup. He's right. As they close in on the shipment, King Kilo's men ambush them, forcing a chaotic firefight that leaves bodies on both sides. Tommy and Tariq barely escape, and the fact that their exact location was known confirms what Tommy has feared since the shipment at the port was intercepted. There's a mole in his inner circle. This realization shifts Tommy into a dangerous headspace. The Tommy we've seen before is ruthless with enemies, but now his suspicion extends to everyone around him. Back at his base, he starts questioning people directly, pushing harder than usual, reading every word, every gesture for signs of deception. Jannard and Shanti are especially careful during these interrogations, playing the part of loyal allies perfectly, but the audience can sense their patience thinning. They're waiting for their own opportunity, but for now, they can't afford to draw Tommy's wrath. Tariq watches this dynamic closely, noticing the cracks in Tommy's crew and realizing that holding this fragile alliance together might be as hard as winning the war itself. For the audience, these moments are gold. Every conversation feels like it could explode into violence at any second, and every look exchanged is a clue. Meanwhile, Mirovic and King Kilo are not wasting time celebrating their small victory. Their ambush wasn't just about hurting Tommy, it was about testing his reaction. Mirovic, ever the strategist, wants to see how far Tommy will go when pushed, and King Kilo wants to learn his patterns. They understand that Tommy's biggest strength, his aggression, can also be his biggest weakness. Kilo, in particular, sees an opening. If he can provoke Tommy into making impulsive moves, they can control the board. To do that, they start targeting Tommy's business directly, cutting off supply lines, buying out smaller crews that used to work under him, and flooding the streets with product that's cheaper and faster to move than Tommy's. This is warfare without bullets, and it's a side of the game Tommy doesn't like to play. He's a man who thrives in direct confrontation, but now he's being forced into a slower, more calculated fight, one where he can't always see the enemy's hand until it's too late. Claudia, for her part, thrives in this kind of environment. Still recovering physically, she operates from the shadows, positioning herself as the brains behind much of Mirovic and Kilo's logistical advantage. She's the one orchestrating supply chain disruptions and using her old contacts to quietly sway neutral crews into turning on Tommy. What makes Claudia especially dangerous here is her patience. She's not looking for a flashy win in episode 1. She's looking to bleed Tommy's empire dry piece by piece until he's forced to come to her on her terms. In a chilling moment toward the episode's midpoint, she meets with a mid-level player from Tommy's world, someone who has quietly felt overlooked and underpaid. She doesn't threaten him. She doesn't have to. She offers protection, steady income, and one more thing Tommy can't: the promise that he won't have to risk his life in this escalating war. That's how she recruits her first double agent, though neither Tommy nor the audience sees exactly who it is yet. It's a mystery left to hang in the air, adding to the season's paranoia. Miguel, still furious over Mirea's escape, starts playing his own game. Unlike Mirovic and Kilo, he's not trying to outthink Tommy. He's trying to hurt him. He starts hitting people connected to Mirea's family, making it clear that anyone close to her is a target. Mirea, who's been under Tommy's protection since her rescue, wants to go after Miguel herself, but Tommy holds her back. This is partly to keep her safe, and partly because he knows Miguel's attacks are meant to bait him into striking prematurely. Still, Mirea's frustration builds, and there's a moment where she quietly leaves Tommy's safe house to make a call to someone we can't see or hear. It's a small scene, but one that leaves viewers wondering, could Mirea's loyalty crack under the strain? Back in Tommy's camp, tensions rise as Diamond finally reappears. His absence has been strategic. He needed the heat from Vic's execution to cool down before rejoining the fight. But when he comes back, it's clear he's been doing his own digging. He brings information about a new player moving product through the South Side, product that's tied directly to King Kilo's network. Diamond's intel confirms what Tommy already suspected. The war isn't coming, it's already here, and his enemies are moving faster than he is. With Tariq now fully in the loop and Diamond back on the board, Tommy decides it's time to take the fight to his enemies instead of waiting for their next move. This decision leads to one of the episode's most tense sequences. Tommy, Tariq, and Diamond set a trap for one of Kilo's lieutenants, using fake intel about a shipment drop to lure him in. The plan is to grab him, squeeze him for information, and send a message. But just as they move in, the scene erupts into chaos. A sniper opens fire from a nearby rooftop. The crew scrambles for cover, and in the confusion, the lieutenant is killed before they can get answers. Tariq immediately suspects that someone tipped Kilo off, reinforcing the idea that the mole in Tommy's circle is still feeding information to the enemy in real time. This is the breaking point for Tommy. His anger boils over, and he makes it clear to everyone around him, until the traitor is found, no one is safe. The final moments of Episode 1 are pure power-level tension. Mirovic, Kilo, and Claudia meet in a dimly lit warehouse, their alliance looking stronger than ever. They toast to their mutual friend, the person inside Tommy's camp who's been keeping them one step ahead. The camera never reveals the mole's identity, but the implication is enough to make viewers question every single ally Tommy has left. At the same time, Tommy, back in his safe house with Tariq and Diamond, swears that the war has officially begun. "We hit them hard, we hit them fast, and we don't stop until they're all gone." It's a vow, a promise, and a threat rolled into one. The screen cuts to black, leaving fans with the sinking realization that this is just the first battle, and the body count is only going to climb from here. The audience realizes just how brutal this final season of Power Book 4 Force is going to be. The episode wastes no time after Tommy's declaration of war. He's not waiting for the enemy to make the next move. But even as he begins setting his plan in motion, the tension in his own camp is becoming a bigger problem than the enemies outside. Tariq is sharp enough to see it. Paranoia is eating Tommy alive, and it's pushing him toward rash decisions. Every time someone leaves the room, Tommy's eyes follow them. Every quiet conversation feels like it's hiding something. And with the mole's identity still a mystery, the air inside the safe house is as dangerous as the streets outside. Tariq, wanting to get ahead of the problem, suggests they take a more methodical approach. Find the mole by feeding out false information to different people and seeing which one gets leaked. Tommy doesn't like the slow pace of the plan, but he can't deny its logic. So they set the bait, telling different members of the crew about separate shipments that don't exist, and then waiting to see which enemy crew shows up where. It's a risky move because if the mole catches on, they'll disappear completely, and Tommy will have nothing to go on. This slow burn of tension runs parallel to the more explosive part of the episode, Tommy's decision to hit Miguel back hard and early. With Diamond back at his side, Tommy targets one of Miguel's major cash stash houses. The hit is surgical. No time wasted, no unnecessary bodies dropped. They get in, take the money, and burn the rest. It's a message. Tommy's not just protecting his own, he's dismantling Miguel's empire piece by piece. But Miguel isn't the type to lick his wounds quietly. Within hours, he retaliates, sending a crew to torch one of Tommy's distribution hubs. The fire doesn't just destroy product, it wipes out weeks of planned revenue, forcing Tommy to scramble for new ways to keep his business afloat. It's blow for blow now, and both sides know it. While Miguel and Tommy are trading hits, Mirovic and King Kilo are quietly strengthening their grip on Chicago's underworld. They begin pulling in mid-tier players from both Tommy's and Miguel's camps, offering them bigger cuts and better protection. The lure of quick money and reduced risk proves tempting for some, and by the end of the episode, a few of Tommy's longtime street soldiers have vanished without a word. We don't see where they've gone, but it doesn't take much to guess. The walls are closing in, and every time Tommy turns around, the circle of people he can trust gets smaller. In one of the most intense moments of the episode, Claudia finally steps out of the shadows. She meets face-to-face with Kilo and Mirovic, proposing a coordinated strike to cripple Tommy permanently. Her idea is ruthless, hit him from all angles at the same time: his product, his distribution lines, his allies, and even his personal life. For Claudia, this isn't about business anymore. It's revenge for everything Tommy took from her. Mirovic is on board without hesitation, and Kilo, sensing the opportunity to take over the entire city, agrees. The three solidify their alliance with one clear goal: Tommy Egan doesn't make it to the end of this war. As the episode barrels toward its conclusion, Tariq's mole hunt finally yields a lead. One of the fake shipment locations gets hit by King Kilo's men. Tariq and Tommy race to the site, but they're too late. The only thing left is a single shell casing and a cryptic message spray-painted on the wall. You can't trust your own. It's the perfect psychological hit, designed to keep Tommy second-guessing every move. And it works. When they get back to the safe house, Tommy starts mentally narrowing down his list of suspects, and the look in his eyes makes it clear that when he finds the traitor, there won't be any questions, only consequences. The final scene of episode 1 delivers the promised shock. Late at night, Tommy steps outside to clear his head. A black SUV pulls up slowly, and for a second it feels like another ambush. But then, the door opens, and out steps an unexpected face. A figure from the original Power series that fans haven't seen in years. They don't say a word, just exchange a cold, knowing look with Tommy. The screen cuts to black before we can hear what's said, leaving viewers stunned and desperate for answers. It's the perfect cliffhanger, one that not only ties Force back to its roots, but also signals that the final season is going to pull every thread from the Power universe into one massive, all-out war. By the end of this episode, the rules of the game are gone. It's not about business, it's not about loyalty, it's about survival. Tommy's war has begun, and from this point on, there's no turning back.